With the newest Valorant episode here comes a rank reset where everyone's rank will decrease. There will be two types of lobbies you'll see in your matches. The first type are the ones where your teams are full of players that had the same rank as you last act, but all with lower ranks. The second type of lobbies are the ones where people with different ranks in the previous acts are all mixed up. This type are more common for those who are low diamond and below. Think of them as a slightly more balanced unrated game, where the team's overall MMR/rank score is similar, but the individuals on those teams were probably in different ranks in the previous act. Placement games will matter a bit, but the overall deciding factor for your new, lower rank will be your hidden MMR. Valorant during the rank reset can be like playing in the Wild Wild West, where nothing makes sense. For some people, this time period will only last about 2 weeks, but depending on how often you play Valorant and your hidden MMR, it could last a lot longer, even the whole act. There are a number of pros and cons to this. For example, Riot sees a rank reset as a way to cleanse the rank ladder from players who were boosted, washed, or just inactive in holding ladder position. They also see it as a way to give players an added sense to climb even more. Since everyone will be D-ranked unless you're already bronze or iron, you'll gain more RR for wins and lose less RR for losses, which is nice to see since big numbers go brrr for dopamine receptors. This can also help lower ranked players learn from those who are higher ranked too in the previous act. I know when I first started Valorant, I was stuck between silver and bronze, and sometimes I would queue with my friends who were in plat and diamond lobbies. I would learn a lot from them and be more confident in my regular games. It helped me get to gold and plat. It can also be nice for higher ranked players because it can give you the option to feel like a king running it down and out-aiming certain players with ease. However, there are some cons to the rank reset. If your team is full with a wide range of people whose peak rank were different, then that means there will be a knowledge gap, like the best spots to plant the spike, how to play post-plant, and manage your economy. Hidden MMR doesn't always account for a player's knowledge of the game, which is one of its flaws. This can make working as a team even harder. Another con to rank reset is the timing. A new episode means Riot Games will be doing more advertising to new players and to those that took a break from the game as well. They too will be in the mix of players that you could be paired with. Their knowledge gap will be tricky to work with. I would not be surprised if you get teammates who still think Chamber is the best Sentinel, or not aware of all the jet nerfs added to the game. All these things will make grinding rank a lot harder than usual, and for some people, more difficult than needed to climb back to their rank. Also, some of us may have to swallow the tough pill that we were either boosted to our previous rank, or just too washed to get it back. So now the question is, what can I do? Well, be the best teammate you can be with a set of advice that I'm about to give you. These will also be tips that you can use in future acts to make life a lot easier too, but with some tweaking. The first tip is what I call pre-game hygiene, which takes place in the agent select. You should just hover over the agent you want, but don't lock in. As soon as possible, try to use your mic to say hello, state what your rank was in the previous act, and ask what your teammates' ranks were as well. This could be a great way to see where others are and who may need some help throughout the match. I would also mention what other agents you are comfortable with too, because even though you're on the same team, your knowledge and how to play a certain character may not be the same either. The last thing you want to do is be stuck in silver and have someone who was bronze last act play Reyna, while the other team's Reyna was someone who was plat last act. And yes, this is possible and has happened to me a lot during my first rank reset. I know a lot of people will say things like rank doesn't matter, it's just a colorful badge, play who you're comfortable with, blah 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 blah. Just ask yourself though, who would you rather have as your duelist? A bronze player who never uses their shift key and thinks that every team comp needs a healer? Or a plat player who has more game knowledge and sense? Doing this one tip has helped me a lot during my first rank reset when I was gold 1 but got sent down to bronze. There were times where former diamonds were in my silver lobbies when I was climbing back up. They would just massacre everyone. I learned to defer to the duelist role to someone who was more capable at times. Does this mean you will win every game? No, but it will put you in the best position to win them, as well as learn from someone who may know more. At least from my experience, it helped me a ton during the rank reset. And honestly, it's always a good idea to talk to your team before selecting an agent anyways. The last thing you want to do is take someone's preferred pick and wonder why they're struggling. Or even worse, you don't want to be the Instalog Reyna getting sat down by the other team because you're not up to par yet. This leads me to the next tip, which is your mental. Always be aware of it, especially during acts where rank reset happens. You have to understand that you may have teammates that do not know what defaulting, playing for picks, or even the ideal spots to plant is. If you're a higher ranked player, you shouldn't flame them. It's not their fault that they're in your current games. It's out of their control. This could be your opportunity to tell them that after losing the first round, we should probably save as a team so everyone can have rifles for the third round. It's just a smart thing to do, especially when playing on defense. And I guess on offense, you could gamble forcing if you lose, but it kind of just depends on how many players were killed and if you got spike planted or not. But it's best just to keep it simple. Overall, I'm just saying don't be a dick to people in the process. It's a team-based game, so a lot of the times, you'll need your team to be on the same page. If someone isn't listening or not working with the team, then you could either bait them or work around them. Remember that negativity only breeds more negativity. If things get out of hand, just hit the mute button. Another thing that I advise is to try to avoid playing a lot of rank on Friday nights or the weekends. I don't know about the rest of the world, but in NA, Friday nights are prime time for Smurfs. The weekends, you'll run into people who only play video games on the weekends, so they're going to be rusty. A lot of coaches on YouTube will say just limit yourself to 2 to 3 ranked games per day anyways, if you want to rank up. This is because Valorant matches can be anywhere from 35 minutes to a little bit over an hour. This game can be very demanding, so the idea that you can go 4 straight hours gaming it without having performance dips or fatigue is not likely. If you want to have the best chance to rank up, you want to be at your best, and not when you're getting a bit mentally fatigued, which could easily lead to autopiloting. This is why I try to aim for 2 to 3 ranked games per day as well. Sometimes I go over it if I'm really feeling myself that day, or if my chat pressures me into it. And for the final tip for the rank reset act, is to adopt the idea that rank is a platform designed for you to get better at first. And that colorful badge / RR number is a second thought. This means if you lose a game, you can still learn from it to get better. VOD reviewing can help, and it doesn't even have to be too in-depth. You can use Outplay or some other auto recording and look at the times you die and see if your crosshair placement is good or if you died because the angle you were holding was bad. When you go into a rank match, tell yourself one thing that you want to get better at and focus on that one thing. Whether it's crosshair placement, reading the other team's plays, or your own utility usage. Win or lose, if you constantly do these things along with warming up and aim training if you need it, then your rank will eventually increase. If you have a red carpet for your match history, just know that it will eventually stop. Someday. Just remind yourself that you still are getting better at the game, because at the end of the day, the goal is to be better than your previous self. The higher rank and RR number will follow. Feel free to add any other tips you think could help others down below during this time. I always try to reply to every single comment within the 42 hours of a video being uploaded.